Jamaal Bowman loses the New York primary to George Latimer. What is going on here? Okay, there's the voice, the powerful, passionate person you know, and then another guy who jumped in. According to News One, incumbent New York Congressman Jamaal Bowman has lost his primary election Tuesday night to an accused Democrat. And we say that because it's really a name only. So we'll give you the rest behind this. George Latimer, whose campaign received record funding from a powerful conservative lobby in a race that was replete with racist dog whistles and attacks. That's who's going to be representing you. Maybe.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
Westchester County Executive George Latimer won in part with a pro-Israel platform that paved the way for the fountain of anti-Black rhetoric sentiments he and his surrogates espoused during the most expensive House primary ever. Well, you wanted him out of there. You wanted him silenced, didn't you? And no amount of money was going to be too much to get him out of there. Let's give you the rest of this. New York-based lawyer, activist. She's become one of my favorites because she's unapologetic and well-researched. Olay Olerin would react online. And you see it there. She talks about the money. Nearly $25 million was spent on the primary. Just look at her posting there on X. Because he dare call for a ceasefire. Wow. Talks about Latimer's seat being bought and paid for and a dangerous undermining of democracy. And that's where I land. I like Bowman. I like Jamaal Bowman. It's not about that. It's far worse than that. It's about silencing people. I said nearly $25 million spent on the primary, including nearly $15 million alone from AIPAC, the powerful Israel lobby that typically attaches itself to Republican candidates. But with Bowman's defiant stance in opposition to the accused genocide in Gaza at the hands of Israel, and that's what people are calling it, including war crimes, the charges being issued by the world body, that's the rub, and that's where people are standing on this. His defiant stance in opposition to the accused genocide in Gaza at the hands of Israel, the combination of AIPAC, Latimer, and his supporters proved to be too formidable a challenge for the incumbent to overcome. Bowman, former educator, member of the squad of progressive U.S. House representatives who was first elected in 2020, took the high road, conceding defeat, did not mention his opponent's focus on the topic of race. Previously, Latimer drew the ire of activists over his past comments. I want you to take a look at this.
You can only be in one demographic, and if the philosophy of where we are heading is that you cannot be in office unless you have my identity, then we're in a bad place.
In fairness, the caller did not say that, right? In fairness, the caller did not say that, right?
No, but what I'm saying is I'm responding to a question in my terms. She was, I think, pretty clear that she's not happy with me and that I can't represent her interests.
The Cuomo Emmett Till thing that she refers to, I think I have the text in front of me. You wrote, I think, on Facebook, in our world, no matter how heinous the crime.
I deleted it, Brian. I put it on Facebook. I was angry at the time. I deleted it within a half an hour. I thought better of it. It was a foolish tweet. I have said so, and I deleted it at the time. It is not reflective of the broader way that I deal with circumstances like this, but I recognize it was a foolish set of words. It was hurtful to some people, and I deleted it.
Brian. It's not a big deal. I'm only being racist on Tuesdays. Just stop it, Brian. It's not relevant. Sorry if I offended some people. This is what you want? Okay. But is it really what you want, or did the money get him there? Latimer also suggested that he was exempt from being guilty of racism because he appointed a Black man to be his deputy county executive. Okay. No racist person does that. Latimer insisted just last month. He also suggested he couldn't be racist because he grew up in a Black neighborhood, city, and state reported. This guy. Latimer employed similar logic after an endorsement from former New York Congressman Mondaire Jones, who was Black. The argument about me running a racist campaign falls flat on its face when people who are African American, Latino, Asian are supporting me, Latimer told the New York Times earlier this month. During a debate last month, Latimer used terms to describe Bowman that are consistent with the angry Black man trope, traditionally been employed as a racial fear-mongering tactic. He'd have done it against a Black woman, too. Trust me, I know. That type of energy that Latimer supporters and surrogates have likely fed off of, that includes Terry DeGaetano, the vice chair of the Westchester County Democratic Committee, who told us how he really felt when she described Bowman on Facebook as being angry and suggested she hoped he suffered from a stroke. Wow. If your own umbrella party feels this way, who needs enemies? Weeks later, not only did Latimer, who again ran as a Democrat, not denounce the above examples of racist dog whistling, but he also went on to win the primary via tactics that could be used as a roadmap for Republicans and other conservative-leaning candidates in the 2024 general elections. News One with the details. Previously, though, Bowman made no secret of how he felt about Latimer's political tactics in the primary. It's unfortunate that George has decided that the best way to win an election is to divide our communities with a blatantly racist campaign, Bowman told News One in a statement earlier this month. Bowman's campaign manager, Gabe Tobias, pointed out to News One that AIPAC Super PAC is funded by Republican billionaires, Donald Trump's mega donors, and now those very same MAGA extremists bankrolling George Latimer's increasingly and unsurprisingly racist campaign against Congressman Bowman. Throughout the primary, Latimer and his campaign trafficked in tired racial tropes, including darkening Bowman's skin color and a pair of mailers. We're still doing that? Are we still doing that? Really? It's just not enough to go with the traditional systemic racism. Latimer would also feature this man as a special guest at a fundraiser on May 30th. Enjoy this.
Ultimately, this is not something that only Jews should be happy about. This is something that affects all peoples. All people who stand up against hatred and bigotry should be championing the news from yesterday. So number one, we got to make sure that Harvard becomes finally the institution that it once sought out for itself, one whereby the freedom of speech, the free exchange of ideas, and intellectual diversity is championed, not the insistence of racial identity over intellectual worth, not the insistence of towing the party line. I think that's really been lost, not just under Claudine Gay's leadership, but in the last couple of years at Harvard and of higher education more broadly in the United States. We got to get away from this insidious ideology of DEI, this binary system of oppressor versus oppressed. We have to stop looking at people through the prism and through the lens of race, but really valuing their worth from an academic, from a social, from an intellectual lens.
Now that last sentence resonates with me. I would love to get away from the rest and just look at people, what they bring to the table, their strength, all of it. But that's not what America was founded on. Silly. Do you want to respect all people's voices? Harvard? Or only certain people at certain times? Sounds like some people were shut down. A lot of college campuses, some presidents driven out when they didn't toe the line and decided, you know what, I can talk to people who have a difference of opinion and we can come to terms. No longer presidents being forced out. Okay, well, there's more. Meanwhile, Wesley Bell, who is primarying Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush, what a coincidence, was already resented among activists for not prosecuting police officers involved in the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson. Now Huffington Post has outed him as having managed the campaign of a conservative Republican running for the same seat Bell is seeking today, seemingly compounding political matters for him. Spokesperson downplayed Bell's role in Burns' campaign as being on a voluntary basis for a longtime friend, despite the two having ideological differences. You show me your friends, you know that old saying. Bell, age 49, who was first elected as a council member in Ferguson on the heels of Brown's police killing, took the oath of office in 2019 to become the first African-American district attorney for St. Louis County. He replaced the so-called law and order prosecutor, Bob McCullough. Oh, I was there that time. He presented information to the grand jury, which was supposed to be investigating and recommending charges or not against Officer Wilson, who shot and killed Mike Brown. But once we got our hands on the transcript, it certainly seemed like Michael Brown, the dead kid, was the one he put on trial. This guy. So he replaced him, Bell did, McCullough, who oversaw the Brown case, but declined to bring criminal charges. Bell ran on a platform that included a promise to review Brown's shooting, but more than a year after taking office, he announced that his office would also not be bringing any criminal charges in the notorious police shooting that sparked widespread racial justice protest and contributed to the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. I think I can smell what's cooking here. Further adding to the scrutiny of Bell's politics is the fact that he has accepted campaign cash from AIPAC. So we're going to be talking more about them. Apparently, we can't escape them. Pro-Israel lobby that's politically aligned with conservative Republicans like Donald Trump has also contributed to historic proportions this campaign season, including nearly $1 million on Bell, according to Bush, who suggested he has been politically compromised by the support. Of course he has. That's not an opinion. That's the way it works, folks. Just look at that. Boy, our team is so good by telling a story, weaving it through, giving us the details, and then allowing us to discuss it. Yasmin, I'm going to say this again, and I don't remember when I last said it here, but it's how I feel, and I wonder how you feel. This is not about an individual race. It's about election integrity, the lack thereof, how money has corrupted all of this, how your votes are being stolen. Your votes are being stolen. You're disenfranchised because the money is winning out here. Am I wrong? Have I gone too far?
No. So, regarding Bowman, this news is it was obviously hard to hear when we learned about it last night. But we could have, or perhaps should have expected it. We knew how much money AIPAC was dumping into this race. And they propped up a guy who described himself as being a conservative Democrat, whatever that even is. And this is distressing because, as he said, at least in this democracy, we are given the illusion of choice. We're told that we each get a vote and that each vote is worth the same as the next, but we know that that isn't really true. And it's not even anything conspiratorial. So no, I don't think you're going too far. We see the way that they manipulate voting maps, and we see the way that they try to discourage people from voting, specific groups of people from voting, I should say. We see all the money that gets poured into these political races, and we get to see where that money is coming from. In this case, AIPAC was not subtle about what they were doing and what they're still doing. We knew what they were doing all along, and we knew that this would be the likely outcome of their efforts. And just to remind people, AIPAC started off not as the American Israel PAC, but as the American Zionist Committee. Why they should have any place in actual American elections is beyond me. Why this shouldn't be considered election interference is beyond me. And for the record, I don't like when any lobbying group is able to manipulate elections to their liking just by dumping so much money into them. But given everything that is happening right now in Palestine, this one is particularly difficult to stomach. And who knew that asking for innocent people to not be killed and mauled and whatever else could be politically detrimental in 2024? And unfortunately, I think we'll see a similar trend across the country as we proceed between now and November, as he mentioned as he pointed out with the Cori Bush and Bell race.
Yeah, they are teaching these progressive, outspoken, passionate Black candidates. They're not done though. AOC is in the clear for now, but they're not going to stop trying. They're telling them to shut up. You better shut up. You sit down and you shut up. And suddenly it's radical to say, I love human life and I don't want children, men or women, blown away, innocent people disproportionately. Remember, whether the United States has gotten behind it or not, charges issued from the world body, war crimes being chronicled, That's the allegation. Bowman, Bush, painted as radical, and this kind of deception where you're getting these, I call them patsies, to run, giving them money, because they're not going to say anything. They're going to just do as they're told and fall in line. And it will be fine. What I like about Bowman and Bush is, even knowing what they're facing, Yasmin, they still told their truth. They know the dangers. Bowman knew what was coming his way.
Yeah.
Still told the truth, their truth. And that's the difference. This guy, Bell, is not telling his truth. He's pulling the wool over people's eyes, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, and I think especially with modern politics, a lot of what we see is people trying to toe some line that the rest of us can't see. We don't know what they're dealing with. They're trying, let's say in the best case scenario that they're actually trying to do work that is going to be beneficial for the most people, specifically for the people that they're representing in their districts, right? Let's say that they really want to do that for their constituents, but they still have all these other things that they're beholden to. And the more people they take money from, the more people they're beholden to. And that's why it's so important that we have all these, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Transparency.
Well,
that's the
yeah,
one.
we don't have, I would think of this, we don't have transparency. Yep.
Yeah. That's why we need to have that kind of transparency so we can see if people are beholden to certain groups and things like that. With AIPAC, though, they were so just like shamelessly saying, we're going to fund this guy because the other guy is saying that we're not allowed to commit genocide. We're not allowed to, colonize another land that's right next to us and push these people out. And kudos to Bowman for sticking to the message. And I don't know what's going on with Bell. I don't know why he's decided to become a lackey for AIPAC, but that's the political landscape that we're trying to navigate now this year.
Yeah, and I don't know why either concretely, but I think it's a good guess. A hypothesis is a bit more than a guess that money might have something to do with it. Okay, your approach, you decide what your moral compass is, and then you go for it. I think it's hideous, and I'm disgusted by all of it. We got to figure it out. Do we have free and fair elections? Come on. We know who wants us to and who doesn't.